UART is mainly used for serial communication, and it has got 4 UARTs, UART 0, 1, 2, 3, and those are connected through the GPIO pins. Those 4 pins are having the different functions. They are multiplexed with the different operations. So coming to the various registers of UART, we have RBR, THR, that is receive buffer register, transmit hold register, FIFO control register, line control registers, and we have data divider latch, low and the high. So these are used for setting some baud rates. So let us see the different registers in detail. So THR, which is transmit hold register, that's it. So we don't have any the format for it. So the data which you are going to transmit will be written in the transmit hold register, and the receive buffer register which will hold the data which is received. Okay, so depending upon your the format of data, that is the packet or the frame format which you use for the UART, you can get the data through it. So receive buffer register will hold the data which is received, and the FIFO control register, so all are 32-bit. You have the UART has got 16-byte FIFO. Hello, class chiltes, class. So it has a 16-byte FIFO for receiver transmitter. Thus it can store 16 bytes of data received on UART without overwriting. Means you can read that much amount of data. Okay. So when you try to overwrite, there will be an overrun error will be set. Okay. So which you can visualize through additional status register. So this is the FIFO control register. You can see the format which is given, the FIFO enable and FIFO reset, that is for the receiver and the transmitter. So when you make it, you can reset your FIFO for the receiver, and you have transmitter FIFO reset. Then you have the DMA mode, the direct memory access. Okay. Then some few bits are reserved, and you have receive trigger. So each that receive trigger, if you look at the one, this, it has got to select the number of bytes of the receiver data to be written, so that which will enable the interrupt of or the DMA. So you have different versions of it. When trigger level is 0, you have 1 character. If it is 0, 1, you have 4 character. When it is 1, 0, you have 8 characters. When it is 11, it is 14 characters. So like that, you can categorize the different receivers. Okay, so that is number of bytes of receiver data to be written. This is next register is line control register, which is very important because through which you will be setting the frame format of the data. So the bit fields are shown here. The least significant bit will decide the word length, then the number of stop bits. That is, in the word length, you have a 5-bit character length and 6-bit character length, or 7-bit character length, or 8-bit character length. So these characters are embedded in your start and the stop bit, then you have a parity. Okay. And you have a stop bit selections. So whether you want to go for 1 stop bit or the 2 stop bits. Then you have a parity enables. Okay. So whether you want to enable the parity, that is bit 3 will decide the parity of the data that is mainly for your error detections. Then the type of parity is given through your bit 5 and 4, whether it is odd parity, even parity, and force to stick parity. Then you have brake control, that is, it will disable the brake transmission. Whether you want to disable the brake transmission or enable the brake transmission during your DMA. Then you have a DLAB, divisor latch bit. Yeah. So this we need to note because this we'll be using when we program it. Because initially we need to access the divisor latch by enabling it, then you disable it when you start running. Okay. So when you load some data value onto the DLL and DLM, you will be enabling this particular bit of the line control register, which is very important. So this you will be enabling. So enable the access to the divisor latch.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can you please re-explain what is the significance of this bit, the last bit?
Which one?
The last bit that you just told.
Bit 8, DLAB.
Yes.
Yeah. Say when we transmit serial data, you will divide the clock, right? There will be when I show, maybe in the next slides, I'll be showing the architecture of it. You slow down the clock speed. So what do you mean by 9600 baud? So 9600 baud means so many, in general we say that 9600 bits are transmitted per second. That is a general way of putting it. So the clock, whatever we have, say 100 megahertz clock, so that need to be divided further and make sure that you will have some UART clock. Slow down further. Okay. So we will calculate certain amount of value for your baud rate generation and load in the specific registers, that is DLL and DLM, which are responsible for your baud rate. So to load that value initially, I will be enable this bit 8 of line control register. Initially, I need to enable it so that I can load certain data which I calculate for the specific baud rate. After you load it, then you disable it when you proceed further. Did you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the line status register. The line status register, we have the specific the bit format shown, the receiver data ready. So this will tell you that the receiver, see, if it is 0, means your FIFO is empty. If it is 1, there is some data. It is a status register. You are not writing anything. It will be automatically. So whenever there is some data received, automatically the least significant bit of the status register will be set. Then this bit 1 overrun, as I said, the FIFO control register, whenever the FIFO, the 16 bytes FIFO, when it is full or more than 16 bytes, it will indicate that is an overrun error. Okay, buffer overrun. So there, if it is 0, no overrun. When it is set means the 16 bytes are full. When we have a parity error, so this bit is set when the receiver detects an error in your parity. So whenever it is high, means there is a parity error. Then you have a framing error. So you have a specific pattern which you have configured through your control register, that is 5-bit character or whatever. So in case if there is any error in your framing format, then this will be set, framing error. Then we have a break interrupt. Okay, so when the received data is held in the spacing state, that is all zeros. Okay, so when you have for the full transmission, then there is a break interrupt is detected. Then you have a transmitter holding register. So this is immediately this set upon detection of an empty transmit hold register. So you don't have anything on the data to be transmitted on the register. Then say you are trying to transmit something, the data is not there, then this will be, the bit 5 will be set. And the TEMT is set when both your transmit hold register and the status registers are empty. Okay, so this is bit 6, transmitter empty. It says a transmitter empty. Then bit 7, error in your receiver FIFO. Okay, the receive buffer register contains, there is some error when the received data is affected by your framing error, parity error, break error, everything. It's a consolidated. So it will be set. Then transmitter enable register. So this transmitter enable register will, you have bit 7 of this. Okay. So when this bit is set, the data is returned to the transmit hold register. It is buffered through the TXD pin. You know that in the UART we have got TXD and RXD pins. So the data which you are transmitting, you load in the transmit hold register, and the bit by bit will send through your TXD pin. So when it is clear means if the bit is clear to 0 while a character is being sent, the transmission of that character is completed. Okay. So when you complete that, so which means a 0 in this bit blocks the transfer of characters. So there is nothing, which means there is no data. If you disable it, you cannot transmit the data. That is the meaning. Before you transmit, the transmit enable register, the bit need to be set. Yeah. Coming to your the UART architecture of LPC 1768, you can see here we have a transmitter block and a receiver block. The transmitter block is connected to your TXD pin and receiver block is connected to the RXD pin. If you look at the internal hardware architecture of the block, you have a transmitter holding register which holds the data to transmit, and you have a transmitter FIFO, and there is a shift register. So bit by bit get shifted, and you have a transmitter DMA interface so that you can have a bulk data. Then see, exactly in a similar manner, we have a receiver buffer register. Receiver FIFO, the data which you receive through your shift register, and it will be loaded in the receiver buffer, and you get it extracted through the buffer register through the FIFO, and there is a DMA interface. So DMA interface is connected to your DMA request and DMA clear. Then the interrupt, the UART transmission interrupt, you have a FIFO control status, line control status, and you have IRDA and Autobot. So these are the blocks which you can have in the UART. Then you have interrupt, control, and status. Okay, so these are all the registers which you have it in the UART. Then you have the baud rate generator. So you will be having the baud rate generator which has fractional rate divider in case the data comes to be a fractional. Maybe in the next class I'll discuss on the fractional rate divider. And then this is the main divider. If for the whatever the baud rate you get a value to be loaded in the register as an integer, no issues. Just you load the low value and the high value in a specific register. It will automatically set to the specified baud rate. Yeah, again, this is about the RS-232, which you know very well. So your the microchips, the microcontrollers work on your TTL logic, and when you communicate through serially, there will be a, if you connect through your DB9 connectors, especially, so then it has got the RS-232 logic. So there will be the level converter which is done through your MAX232. We have 3232, that is a number of the chip, which can convert your the TTL logic to RS-232 level or vice versa. Okay, so that is your the level converter. So this is the diagram showing through the MAX232, RS-232, how it is connected to LPC 1768. So LPC 1768, the chip is having 3.3 volts, and you have a reset pin. This is just the clipping of your only the LPC and the serial communication. So you have a serial port. There is a MAX232 IC, and through that UART, whichever the UART you are using, you will connect it. Okay, so it is connected to a specific port pin. There will be a MAX232 which can convert your logic levels. Yeah, this we need to understand, because while writing the program, we'll be using certain configuration file. Yeah.
In the architecture, we had blocks for DMA, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
where are we using direct memory access here? For what is the use of it?
It is generally in any suppose I want to, it is sent through bit by bit only, but if there is a data need to be transmitted through your DMA request without using your internal bus, then that particular block will be used. So the DMA means what? I want to make use of your bus. Supposing I'm using certain port pin bus, right? Then I need to those buses are in control of your DMA controller. It is multiplexed. Your the whatever the port pin we are using, they are multiplexed. They have got multiple functions. It can be used as your port. It can be connected to your other data and the other buses. In such a case, we need to have a control over the various bus pins to transmit a bulk of data. See, for UART, anyway, it is serially, but whenever I'm using my port pins for data transfer in a DMA mode, then I need to know, right? Did you get it? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is the confusion? Was it? So you mean to say what is the role of DMA in UART?
Last time we have studied this, we talked about how we are actually going to access the registers, not registers, not in this subject, previously in microprocessors.
Okay.
So every register, the LCR and everything had a memory address. I thought it had to do with that. So,
yeah, it is memory mapped, right? It is a memory mapped peripheral. That's what I am trying to convey you. So every peripheral, it is a memory mapped peripheral. LPC 1768 means it is a I can say there is a microprocessor or the microcontroller embedded with so many other peripherals. If you see I have not shown you the architecture of LPC 1768. I think I have shown in the last class somewhere. It's a memory mapped, right? So your most of the peripherals are mapped to the general memory. So then internally the architecture should know that the data is transmitting through your DMA. In such a case, we'll be making use of those. There will be the registers, various registers. Did you get it? If
Yes,
you visualize the whole system, your LPC 1768, internally it has so many peripherals. That LPC 1768 you call it as a memory mapped. It comes under your memory mapped peripheral. In such a small chip, I need to hold so many things. With the same memory can be used for your peripherals. You get it?
Yes, ma'am. That's why we need to have addresses for all this.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the steps for configuring the UART. First, you have configuring, because there is the UART is internally connected to the GPIO pin. Maybe in the last class I have shown you that multiplexed pins. The port 0 pin, some of the pins are used for your TXT of UART 0 and RXT of UART 0. Similarly, you have UART 1. So whatever the steps I have shown, exactly in a similar manner we have it for UART 1, 2, 3. Okay, maybe with the different GPIO IO pins are used. But the first step is configure your GPIO pin for UART 0 using select pin, that is pin select register. Okay, that is for which port pin is used for. Then the library file will get to understand. Then configure the FIFO control register to enable the FIFO. Okay, and reset both RX and TX FIFO. First you reset. Then you configure the line control register with a specific format. As I said, enable the DLAB bit. Enable this, I think bit 7 or 8. Something you need once or twice when you write, when you visualize your configuration function, you will be able to understand, okay, what is the data I'm loading in the line control register. For 8-bit data, one stop it. Okay, I am disabling the parity. Then you calculate the values to be loaded for the specified baud rate using your peripheral clock. Okay, because I'm not using your system clock, I'll be using the UART clock. So we need to know what is the clock given for the peripheral. Then update these registers with the calculated values. Once you do that, clear the DLAB, disable the access, that is to disable this of your line control register. So this is your line control register. Okay, so clear it or disable it. Okay, once you load it, so that you are not going to access that further. It will be latched. So you latch it, load, and then you latch that value. After this, the UART will be ready to transmit. So once you do all these steps, so let me repeat, you need to configure you do the pin select register, which port pin you are using for the UART. Maybe since there are different UARTs, you need to know what are the port pins are used. Then configure your FIFO control register. Then configure your line control register for the specific format, and then you enable the DLAB of the specific bit of line control register. Then calculate the values to be loaded for the baud rate, okay, using the P clock and specific formulae. Then load the values, then clear your DLAB bit of line control register so that you latch the value. Okay. So this is the initialization, UART initialization. Okay, so in LPC 1768, anyway, the same thing, not much difference. There is a power control for peripherals. So this register is UART 0, PC UART 0. So which will make your UART 0 operational. Okay. So there is you need to set bit the PC UART for 0. That is for UART 0. What is the power control? And UART line control register. You enable this and calculate a value loading the DLL and DLM for setting the specified baud rate. Okay. So use this FIFO enable bit in register, FIFO control register, which is U0 FCR, to enable the FIFO, and select the pins to, whatever I have shown just now mentioned. Then use hold register and buffer register for data transmission and reception. Then check the status. Keep on check the status register whether the data is transmitted. So you get to know whether the data which you are going to transmit is sent through your TXT pin. So that particular bit will be set once the transmission is over. Similarly, if you are going to receive, this specific bit is set, the receive register status. So you can keep checking whether you monitor through your status register for your transmission as well as the reception. So this is the formula used for the baud rate calculations. For baud rate, PC clock divided by 16 into 256 into DLM plus, this is because it's an 8-bit, plus this is the formula given for the baud rate. For simplification, we have this value is taken as 0. So hence this has become very simple. You turn out to be only PC clock divided by 16 into 256 DLM plus DLL. Okay, so this will be your formula for baud rate. And when you submit the baud rate, because I know what is a baud rate, I want to, suppose if I say 9600 baud rate. So if I want to go for 9600 baud rate, then put that baud rate here, and you will get the DLL and DLM values. I have an example for baud rate calculation. So supposing I want to go for 9600 baud rate with the peripheral clock given as 14.7456 megahertz. Okay, in that case, you calculate the values. So you get PC clock divided by 16 into baud rate. You will get 96. You just get the 96. So this indicates your the higher value is 0 and the lower value is just 96. So you load this value. This is the calculated value for. Then,
Ma'am,
yeah.
in questions, PC clock's value will be given, but in practical usage, is it the crystal clock on the microcontroller, or is this the peripheral bus clock?
See, when I use your serial communication, right? Suppose I'm using a simulator. I have
Yes,
shown
ma'am.
the window, right? There, I'll select. Normally, I give 12 megahertz. Do you remember? I've just shown.
I understand, ma'am. I'm talking about when we are physically working with the chip. This
Then
what
you need to
clock
refer
are
the
you
data
supposed to
sheet.
get?
Refer the data sheet. PC clock only.
So it's the crystal clock basically.
Not the crystal clock. Your sister peripheral clock. Yes, exactly.
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
Yeah. So this, there is a power register which is used to switch on off the different peripherals in the LPC 1768. Okay, so you can use this, increase the power efficiency. There is a power control register. So we will be using this register which is controlling the clock source to the UART0. I mean, not only for UART0, you have for other peripherals. This is one of the, since I have taken as an example of UART0, you will be using this. That is PC UART0 or bit 3 in the power control register. Okay. And yeah, so similarly you have for UART2, UART3 and UART1, whatever. The clock frequency. The peripheral clock frequency set in the peripheral clock selection register. There is a peripheral clock selection register. So there you select. So the 2 bits are used, that is PC clock UART0. Once reset, this PC clock UART0 will be 00. So the clock frequency is system frequency by 4. System frequency by 4. So this we in the configuration file which we are what do you call adding to your program, we will have these. Okay, so your clock frequency is system frequency divided by 4. Yeah, and coming to the different code explanation, we have system initialization. Maybe I have shown the initialization code in your RTX. So we'll be having the initialization code. This will initialize the system clock frequency, your PLL settings, and the peripheral clock frequency for the particular board which you are using. Okay, so you'll be using this system initialization function, and you have UART0 pin configuration. So this will configure the particular port pin, that is P0.2 for transmit and P0.3 for receiver which will enable the serial communication over these pins. Then I have initialize the UART0. So this is the function will initialize the UART0 at a specified baud rate. Okay, so the same thing, I think third time I'm telling, you need to enable the DLAB bit of your line control register. Then you load the value, these two. Then after you load it, disable the DLAB bit of LCR so that you latch it. Okay, and you can access these registers. Similarly, you have UART0 RX function. This we are monitoring to receive the status of the received data through. Okay. You have a receive buffer register whether the data is received, because you enable the receiver as well as it's a duplex transmission. Then you have UART0_TX function. This will send your data byte into the transmit hold register, and it will monitor the 3-bit of the line status register until the bit become high. You just keep on whether the whole data which you are going to transmit is sent or not. Keep monitoring with that. Once it is done, you ensure that when that bit is set, yeah, the data is transmitted. Okay. So this is about the theory behind the UART. Probably in the next class, I'll show you the fractional calculation of the UART. I mean, if you suppose instead of you have a 12 megahertz for 9600, you get a fractional data when you use the specific calculations. How you manage? There are some lookup table given. You need to refer the lookup table and load the value in the, because I cannot straight away write that fractional data in the DLL and DLM. We'll be using some lookup table to write down the specified values. Okay, that we shall see in the next. If you have got any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll stop for today. Maybe another 10-15 minutes. The quiz will schedule, and any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So maybe in the next class we will see the programming part, the UART programming. So now you can now I'll stop.